What is going on, everybody? My name is Christian Robert, and on this channel we talk stocks, personal finance, and wealth building. And today I have a little bit of a different video for you guys. I've had a few of my subscribers ask me to talk a little more in depth about my personal debt. If you haven't seen, I talked about my debt in my net worth video, but I didn't really get much into it. I just broke down what I had. So a lot of people are in debt. 46% of Americans struggle with debt, ranging from I think an average of like $6,000 per household of just credit card debts. So, I know I'm not alone in this. So talking about your debts it's a very, it's a really touchy subject for a lot of people. It can be very embarrassing and shameful, but I try to be as transparent as possible on this channel, and I think that's why, so many of you have subscribed to me, because I try to be as open and honest as I possibly can about my finances. So we're just going to dive into this and talk a little bit about it. But first, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. Now, I wrote it out just like this, from least to most. Let's just go through it and talk a little bit about it. First, I have my American Express. I owe $790 with a $35 minimum payment. I'll explain why I wrote down the minimum payments in a second. Next, I have my art van, because if you don't already know, I recently built and moved into my first house, and I needed basically everything from my bedroom set except the bed. So, of course, I went out and got a credit card through them and maxed it out. So I owe $1,460 with the $60 minimum payment. Then I have my car. I actually just made another payment, so this is under $2,000. But anyways, $2,071 with roughly a $137 minimum payment. Then I have Gardner White. If you're not familiar with Gardner White, it is another place where you buy furniture. Art Van is too, if you didn't know. So I bought a big sectional couch because, I wanted to. So I owe $2,800 on that with a $60 minimum payment. Next, we have my PNC credit card, which is like the credit card I use. I try to use this for everything because I get really good points. But first and foremost, I have not been responsible with this, because points mean absolutely nothing unless you're paying off that balance every month. So I've really slacked. So I owe $4,600 on that with roughly a $180 minimum payment. And finally, the thing I haven't mentioned, I've left this blank in the past, but the big debt I have is through my primary brokerage account, which is TD Ameritrade, and I owe $11,325. And technically there's no minimum payment, but every week I put in $75. But to elaborate a little bit on this, because I know some of you are going to be freaked out when you see this. When you have a brokerage account, you can have what's called a margin account. And margin basically means that if you have $100 in your account, whether it's in stock or cash, you can have an extra $100 in margin. So you can borrow up to 100% of your value. Now, I'm going to talk in a separate video down the road more about margin, because margin really messed me up when I first got into investing, and I lost a lot of money, and it's still sickening to my stomach, the stupid decisions that I made when I was unintelligent, unexperienced, and just reckless with stocks. I made a couple of quick dollars when I first started, so I thought I was all cocky and I thought I knew everything, and it took me a lot of dollars lost to learn my lesson. So I don't want anybody to be alarmed about this. $11,000 is less than like 25% of my overall portfolio. This comes out to a variety of different things. I think when I first moved in, I had to pull out like $3,000 in cash for unexpected stuff. And then something with my son came up and I needed another $1,000 or $2. and the rest I just bought more stock on margin. I believe IBM was the big one. I don't feel bad about that because I know in 3 to 5 years or even longer that I'm going to really be thanking myself for buying those shares when I did at the price. But nonetheless, I do not want to be stuck with margin because obviously you're paying a small margin fee every month. Luckily for me, it's not too much, but it's still enough to where when I put all my debts together, it made me pretty uncomfortable. So obviously you see the total. My total debts are $23,046. And the reason I brought up the minimum payments is because this honestly stood out to me more than anything. Because if you add up the minimum payments, not even counting the money I put into my TD Ameritrade, keep in mind I'm always trying to funnel a lot of money into it to start paying it down because it was a lot higher. But that's $472. That's $472 that could be in my pocket every single month, going into my TD Ameritrade, going into my Robinhood, or going back into my house because I still need so much more for my house. I still need furniture, grass, sprinklers, blinds, or my wedding fund, so that's a lot of money every month that could really be going towards good stuff and not just making the bare minimum payments on all these debts. So comment down below if you guys have any debts. I'd love to hear your feedback. What methods are you doing to pay off your debt? I know there's the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, and I'm sure there's a variety of different other ones. I'm sure some of you came to my channel because of some of the debt-free YouTubers that I highly admire and respect. So, I'm not trying to start off and say that I'm following the Dave Ramsey program, which I know a lot of you are familiar with, but I am aware of my debt is getting out of control, and we're going to be responsible and attack this, and I'm going to share it with you because that's what people on YouTube do. So how I plan on attacking this, I really didn't give it much thought. We just got tax return back, so I'm sure I'll put a big chunk towards this. But if you've seen a previous video, you know that paying off my car has been a big goal of mine for this year. So right off the bat, I'm thinking I want to focus on paying off the car maybe first. One thing I forgot to mention is the American Express, Art Van, and Gardner White are all interest-free loans. I opened the card with a promotion, so as long as I continue making those monthly payments, I won't be charged any interest. Not that that's any excuse to get into all this debt, but that was my reasoning for getting those cards. So that alone is like $5,000 worth of my debt that I will not be paying interest on as long as I make those payments. So with that being said, if I can eliminate this car, that frees up $137 every month that I could quickly put into the other ones and pay it off, and probably, I don't know, I'm not going to put a timeline on it, but we're going to be active with this. And I know there's others of you that have commented to me talking about their debts and their worries. So, it's an uncomfortable thing talking about debt, but we're all human. Obviously, half the country is in debt, so it's nothing to be ashamed about as long as you're being responsible and diligent about taking care of it and not getting, dragged deeper into the hole. So that's where I'm at. But if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and make sure you comment down below. Even if you're not in debt, maybe you have some helpful tips for those that are in debt. This is a community where we can talk and help each other out. So always feel free to express yourself, even if you have differences in opinion. I don't care if you disagree with me. I totally encourage debate. As long as it's a healthy debate and it's not just inappropriate stuff. So as always, I'll see you next time.